And welcome in, everyone. Bill Rowan, along with the head coach of George Mason men's basketball, Kim English. This is the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show here at the Capitol Ale House. Thanks for hanging out with us here on site, and also everyone watching at home as well. We appreciate it. Tonight's show, we'll take a look back at the game since our last Coaches Show. Also, freshman point guard Devin Dinkins is going to join us, and we'll look ahead to the upcoming game against UMass coming up on Wednesday night. So, Coach, you might as well go ahead and dive right into it. We'll start back with the Rhode Island game. Guys, get your first road victory in the A-10, and I thought what might have been the most impressive offensive game you guys have had, 55% shooting for the game. You end up hitting, I think, 9 out of 20 from behind the arc. Just a really impressive performance offensively from your team.
Yeah, it was good. It was, after a loss at home to GW, I believe, and we got back to our kind of who we are with playing 4 out, 1 in, and the spacing was really good to start the game. The guys got the ball hopping around and passing to the open man. Got the ball inside of Josh early, which is great for us because if teams playing one-on-one, we like that matchup. If teams decide to double, we have really good post spacing, really good shooters around him, and the ball was popping. Got Coop back going. And the guys were really good. And you're talking about offense, but I loved seeing at halftime that we were holding them to 26% from the field defensively, and that was our last really good defensive half, since that moment. And it's been a point of discussion and work and where we got to get better. But I thought that was a good output for our guys. They made their run like a team will on their home court, but we found a way to finish late.
Yeah, Josh ended up with 25 points and 14 rebounds in that contest. You mentioned Cooper, 20 points, including 5 threes. And again, I thought the ball just, as you mentioned, it just moved when they tried to double. And this is a team with Archie Miller as their head coach. He is a defensive guy, and you guys were able to move the ball around and get really good open looks, whether it was Josh at the rim or guys shooting from the outside.
Yeah, no, Archie's a great coach. Obviously, had great success in the A-10, and they bounced back really well with a good win against Dayton, the game after us, and then LaSalle after that. So with 2 straight wins after us, but I was really proud of our guys' effort and fight. Ronald fighting through a quad contusion he had suffered a few games early. He gave us all he could that game and was really important.
Yeah, unfortunately, moving on to the next game against Virginia Commonwealth, Ronnie not available. That's a tough place to play anyway, but when you're down Ticket Gaines and Ronnie Polite, 2 of your main starters, you knew it was going to be kind of tough sledding. Yeah,
no, it's they're a really good program, and they do what they do, and it does make it harder when you got to play there without your starting point guard. But we don't spend much time, discussing, who's out and all that stuff. We still had a game plan. We wanted to execute. We started off the game executing, but we didn't. We could have done a better job, breaking the press and getting into our stuff. We want to be aggressive. We want to fight pressure with pressure. Missed some good looks in the first half, but they did a really good job, and we didn't play well.
I thought one of the key points in the second half, you guys had gotten down and battled back to 43-33, got a steal, and then the outlet in the transition just didn't connect, and then got the next stop after that. It could have been 2 possessions, could have had down to a 6-point game, and then you don't know.
Yeah, a couple unfortunate possessions, but I played the VCU style in college. I played on teams that led the nation in steals and all that stuff. We were 40 minutes of hell with pressure. And that's a cumulative effect. We do get a steal, we're down 10, and it's a outlet pass to a guy's back. We break the press. VJ misses a layup. It was a 2-on-1. We don't finish it. It's not always the steals that you think. Sometimes it's you do uncharacteristic things because you just don't practice playing that way. And VCU does a really good job of it. And would love to see him again if we had the chance in the conference tournament.
Yeah, unfortunately, usually you get home and home with them. Unfortunately, the way the schedule is, no VCU coming back to Eagle Bank Arena this year. You put the walk-on in the first half. Obviously, in a tough spot again with no Ron, you can't have Devin going 40 minutes in that ball game. But I was worried that he was going to look scared to death, and he actually did pretty well.
Cam Johnson, we're really excited about Cam, and he has a speed and a burst that it's as good as anyone on our team. In the 3.5, 4 minutes, whatever he played, he had 3 fouls, which I love. That means, that shows me he's playing hard. He did a really good job. He got the ball inside for one of our best offensive possessions of that game. He turned it over, but he went back and he got the steal, which led to a foul. But it got to a point in the game. I just wanted to see us to get a 5-man group out there that played hard enough of what it takes. No matter the lineup issues, no Ticket, no Ronald, whatever. Coop wasn't having a great night. But if going into the season, if you told me at VCU, Coop, Ticket, and Ronald would all have 0 points in that game, I would think it probably wouldn't be a good outcome.
Yeah, and you look, though, Josh able to do some things down low, really causing them problems. From what we saw earlier in the year, where Josh wasn't bad, but it wasn't Josh that we thought of first team, all-conference player. The last couple of weeks, and I would say all through the A-10 season, we've seen Josh start to become Josh again.
Yeah, he was still good early in the season. He just wasn't, what we expected, like kind of a jump from last season. But, again, he had some injuries, had some issues this offseason. Unfortunate occurrences, but he really has rededicated himself back to his game this season. Extra time in the gym, extra time in the strength room. We stayed in Providence, and my good friend is an assistant coach at DePaul, and they were playing Providence that same day, so we stayed at the same Marriott. And I got a text at like 6 a.m. from it was 6 a.m. 6:55 a.m. I was in my room watching film, whatever, and I get a text of my friend working out in the gym. He was showing me that he was getting a morning workout in, and in the background of his selfie, Josh was getting a morning lift in with our strength coach, Handy. And that's the type of commitment, the dedication that you want to see.
Jump to yesterday's game, the 79-76 loss to St. Joe's. That one has to feel like the one that got away, because you guys got yourself down 9 in the second half, made a great run to take the lead, and then just circumstance of events down the stretch, and you end up dropping that game late, but really good opportunities to pull out the victory.
Yeah, it's not the one that got away, it's the fourth that got away, or the fifth. But yeah, disappointing ending. Give them credit for making really good plays. The local kid, Eric Reynolds, was spectacular. Another local kid, the big kid, Obina, was really good, 7 for 7. But all you can chalk up from it is watch it and learn from it and get better. First and foremost, we have to get better defensively, simply guarding the ball. We have to get better in pick and roll, playing with the tenacity, but it's teachable moments. We're up 4 and it's under 4. If you get a free throw offensive rebound, you get that. If you don't finish it, you get that ball out. We run offense. If you don't finish it and we get the defensive rebound, you for darn sure don't foul 94 feet away from the basket. In a game where we're struggling to get stops, and we kind of were getting a rhythm, getting stops. We got some good looks, late, didn't go in. That's part of it. But it's been a ton. It's been 27, I think, is my count. Close games. We've had 2 possession finishes since we've been here, and it's going to turn. It's going to turn where those guys know how to execute and finish those games. We know collectively as a team.
Josh, again, another great game, double-double, also career-high 7 assists. He fouled out their big guy in Obina. So, he was as active as we've seen him. Again, I referenced it before that this is Josh, what we expected from O'Durl, coming into the season. And he is giving you what we've expected now the last few weeks.
Oh, he's great. He's a coach's dream. Does everything you ask. As talented as he is offensively, scoring the ball, he's as unselfish, passing the ball. He gets our guys a lot of threes. He is finally figuring out how to play with another big guy inside, which is something he was not asked to do last season. And it took some time for him to figure out how to be a passer, big to big. Look what he's looking for. The space on the court is different when we have another big 6'9" guy out there. He and Malik are getting a good rhythm, playing with each other, finishing lob plays to each other, and it just goes to show you the growth. At GW, Josh tries to throw a lob play to Malik. It goes out of bounds. We have been working on it. We have been working. These plays are going to be there, big bang, bang plays. You think Paul Gasol and Andrew Bynum. And, the ball sailed out of bounds. You keep working on it. You keep working on it. Now to see those guys finish those plays. He hit Malik for one at VCU. Malik missed it. This game, he connected on a couple with Malik. So they're figuring it out and learning.
Yeah, I thought the first half, poor Cooper ends up not getting an assist on it, but Cooper drives, lays a little pocket pass to Josh, picks it up, and Josh looks like he's going for the layup, just tosses it over to Malik on the other side, and he lays it home. I thought that was one of the best sequences in the first half for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good play. That's a good play.
4 guys in double figures, 7 of 14 from deep in the second half. Again, you got looks down the stretch. You think about Justin missing the 3 right in front of the bench, Bailey missing the 3 in the right corner near the end of the game. I'm sure in the moment, frustrated that it didn't go down. When you went back and watched the film later, were you happy with the decisions and the shots that they got late in that game?
Yeah, no, I mean, Justin's shot was, what you get. The ball's into Josh inside, our most dominant player. He's double-teamed. He passes out to one of our really good shooters. Justin had made 2 threes in the second half. He missed it. Again, we're about shot quality. And, I have to live with the misses. VJ is the 14th best shooter in the country, shooting 48% from 3. We had a play to the rim, and Ronald was ready to go to the rim. VJ wasn't guarded in transition. He kicks ahead to VJ. If he makes it, we're up 1 with 3 seconds. He missed it. We missed free throws in the second half, which is late, and that hurt. But 76 points is enough to win a game.
Right.
The issues were defensively. Obviously, Eric Reynolds made incredible plays, really good plays all night. We have to continue to improve in our discipline, and it's been the focus, especially since the last game. But the last few days, we just have to be more disciplined, and we are. Malik Henry's growth since we've got here until now is incredible. Justin's from this season until now, Devin taking strides. Blake Jones is getting better. Coop is really, Josh has gotten better with his discipline. I mean, Josh was a fouling machine when we got here. He's fouling less. He's being disciplined more. G is taking strides. So it's just continuing that fight and that battle, and we're making gains, and it'll pay off.
And you talked about that after the game yesterday in the press conference. Is there a moment that you expect, and again, not having Ticket in the lineup, obviously one of your senior guys and one of the better defenders on the team doesn't help, but do you expect that there will be that moment when all of a sudden it just clicks? Like, are you seeing the effort that you're expecting to be there, and it's just a matter of it clicking in and a guy won't be a half step too slow?
Yeah, it's in moments. I wouldn't say, just clicks, because it needs to be initiative. You need to do it. You need to do it in a moment. But again, the things we're asking our players to do, the things that coaches on great teams ask players to do, it's against human nature. We're fighting against human nature, asking you to do the things we expect you to do. It's not normal. Like, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
It was a line I loved. Tony Bennett struggled his first 2 years at Virginia, and in the middle of year 3, he had a line. He said, "Our pack line is finally in." I think we talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Our pack line is." I just thought that was a great line, because coaches love to say, "We put that in," or "We worked on that. We put that in." His father's pack line defense, the halfway point through year 3, the statement, "Our pack line is finally in." That means it's in them when they sleep. It's in them when they wake up. It's in them in the most adverse situations. We just don't go for shot fakes. We just close out to shooters with high hands. We just sprint our hardest to transition defense every time. We communicate on pick and roll defense every time, our absolute loudest, right? If we switch, we get under. If we're not switching, we go over. It's things that are not normal. Right. Like normal humans, if we put a group of people out here on a basketball court and said play defense, and someone drove and you were playing defense and they did that, a normal person would jump for it. It's against human nature, the things we're trying to instill in our guys. And I have great optimism in the group that they are getting, that they are trying harder.
I want to go back to one other play in the St. Joe's game before we bring on Devin. And I thought the play design was fantastic. Just missed, and that was the inbound sidelines play, running shooters off screen, and Josh ends up one-on-one. If the lob goes over the top, it gets there, just misconnected on it. But again, I'm sure when you went back and looked at it, execution, except for the final part of it, was near perfect.
Yeah, it was a play we hadn't ran this season. It's a play I've had in my brain, whatever. It's in our playbook. We just haven't ran it in a game. You save it for late game, and it's they double teamed off of they two guys went to VJ or Coop, whoever it was in the corner, and the pass is high. I don't know if it got deflected, but it was a shorter pass and it got stolen. Good play by that kid, Len Greer. But if that ball is higher, Josh catches it and we tie that game with around 12 to go.
Yeah, it was again the inbounds play itself. The drop was amazing. So nice to have that in your back pocket and know that the guys can execute it even they haven't done it in a game before.
Yeah. No, but it was good. Learn again. Everything in these moments are great teachable moments for the future.
All right, well, we'll talk about the future, and that is the freshman point guard, Devin Dinkins. That's coming up next, but we want to thank our sponsor, Capital Ale House, the official host site for the Mason Basketball Coaches Show, along with head coach Kim English. Right around the corner from Eagle Bank Arena, Capital Ale House has local Virginia-inspired dishes and the largest selection of Virginia-brewed craft beer available with over 100 taps. They are Virginia's beer authority in Mason Nation. And we welcome Devin Dinkins here on the Coaches Show, freshman point guard. This year for the Patriots has played in 20 games, 4 starts, had a career-high 15 points earlier this season against Buffalo, shooting 38% from the arc, better than 80% from the free throw line. Devin, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. You got to hear from your coach here. We'll get to some of the things that he talked about for you guys, but let's start out. You and Justin Fernandez, who was with us on the last show, playing AAU basketball together on DC Premier. I have to know, did you guys talk as you're going through the recruiting process about playing at the same school, about maybe even playing to Mason? Was there any influence either way of, hey, we should just run this back in college as you guys were playing with DC Premier?
Yeah, we definitely did. I committed in July. Once I committed, I kind of was in his ear every weekend at AAU tournaments about joining Mason. I thought we would be pretty good together.
What was it about Mason? Obviously, you were being recruited by some other programs before Coach English came in. What was it about him and his staff that brought you here to Fairfax?
Just the way he recruited me. He was hands-on. He would call me often, more than any other coach. I believed in what he was saying and trusting the process of what he had for me in my future. A
lot of people may realize that you played at the WCAC conference with Gonzaga. For those who don't know, the WCAC, probably one of the premier basketball conferences in America, if not the best one in America. How do you think that prepared you, playing that great competition in the WCAC in high school, prepared you then to come and play in college?
It definitely prepared me. You play against high-level competition night in, night out. The atmosphere is crazy. It's like college already. You got sold-out games, so it prepares you definitely.
And you had a teammate that was probably pretty tough to go against in practice, right? Judah Mintz, who's down at Duke. Yeah. So that's a pretty good guy to have to go up against every day in practice.
Yeah, I played with some really good guys at Gonzaga, so it definitely prepared me.
All right, this past weekend was the annual Sneakers and Suits weekend, Coaches versus Cancer. I know that you had your pink shoes on that you've worn all year long. Your mom has a battle with breast cancer. Some of your teammates wearing the pink shoes this weekend as well. What would that mean to you to see your teammates joining you with that?
It meant a lot. Shows that like it's bigger than basketball. Those guys are like my brothers now. They support me, so it felt good.
You have, and this is something we talk to all the players about, and it's something that I find interesting about each guy because everybody has their different story. The first time you picked up a basketball and played in an organized game, how old were you?
I believe I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 years old.
Okay. Justin told us he had a game-winning shot in his first game at 6 years old. I don't know if he's, lying to us or not, or maybe expanding the truth a little bit, but at 7, at what point did you figure out, I can be pretty good at this?
I would say around middle school, I began to be pretty good at it, and the people that I would work out with, I seen the path that they were on, so it just made me want to continue on that path as well.
Who were some of those guys? We're talking about older kids.
Yeah.
Who were some of those guys that were kind of, I'm not gonna say mentors, but guys that you watched go through the process and that you kind of latched on with and said, hey, you know what? They can do it. I can do it.
Jalen Adams, he played at St. Bonaventure a while back. That was a guy, his dad put the ball in my hands when I was real young. There's guys in college now like Jared Bynum at Providence. That's the only thing I can think of right now, but yeah.
You talk about Jalen Edwards' dad, was he the coach that was he one of the coaches, or was there a coach that kind of took you aside and said, Devin, if you really work at this, you can be one of those guys that goes on to play major D1 basketball? Was there a certain coach, whether high school or AAU, that kind of pushed you towards that path?
Yeah, Jalen's dad, Daryl, he was definitely my first coach. He instilled that hard work mentality that I have, so I would definitely say it would be him.
What were some of the things when you first started playing and middle school, you get into high school, that you realized, hey, I can be good at this, but this needs to improve, or these are the things that I need to work on? Was there some moment that you said, hey, I got to get in the gym and work on my shot, or was it just an all-encompassing thing that it just kind of came naturally with that hard work?
Kind of naturally, just progression each year, just get better and better. That's what kind of led to where I'm at right now.
Going back to your WCAC days, obviously, your teammate Josh Roduro played for PVI, which is another WCAC school. Right now, I looked it up before the show. Unfortunately, PVI is in first place. Gonzaga is chasing them.
Yeah.
How much trash talk goes on between you and Josh when it comes to Gonzaga and PVI playing each other? I mean, right now he's got the upper hand in the standings. Does he let you know, hey, our guys got you again, or what's the conversation like?
Yeah, he actually went to a game. They played each other last week. PVI, unfortunately, they won. But, yeah, we talk trash often. I talk about how we beat them my freshman year when he was a senior in the playoffs. So we go back and forth.
So you're kind of one up on him then, because the game that you guys actually played against each other, you won. So it's not your fault that they're not winning now, right? I mean, was he at the game? Was he texting you hey, first quarter, sending you screenshots? Hey, first quarter score, Devin, just want to let you know you guys are down.
At halftime, he told me to look at the score. So.
An interview that you did back when you were in high school, I'm going to read the quote to you. You may or may not remember this. I want to know if you would agree with this assessment now. This is you talking. Said, the strength of my game is my ability to shoot, also being dynamic using ball screens and on-ball defense. So now you're a little bit halfway through your freshman year in college. Looking back at that, would you describe your game the same way, or would it be different than what you said in high school?
It's pretty much the same. I definitely think my ability to shoot is definitely one of my better strengths. On-ball defense and pushing the tempo is definitely where I'm best at.
You had to play down at VCU, had to go 31 minutes. You knew that Ronnie wasn't going to be able to play. What was that environment like first time you've played against VCU in that arena with that type of style that they play?
It was different. I haven't played against a team that runs and jumps like that, but the atmosphere honestly felt like high school with a game and the crowd was into it.
All right, we've had a couple of your teammates here in the past few weeks, and I don't know if you know about the controversy that's going on with this, but there's a bit of one brewing when it comes to the video games. I don't know if you're a gamer or not, but Justin Fernandez was here at the last coaches show. He threw it out that Ronnie Polite, who had been here a couple weeks prior, was ducking guys when it comes to the 2K power ladder as far as who the guy is on the best as far as the video games. As an independent person here, I don't know if you're involved in any of this, Would you agree that your backcourt mate, Ronnie Polite, is ducking guys like Justin when it comes to these video games?
I wouldn't say all that. I know Ronnie's pretty good at the game. I haven't seen him play Justin yet, so I'll just set it up when we get back.
Are you a gamer guy, or do you just sit back and let them?
I'm not a big gamer.
You just
guy.
let them. You just watch and let them argue.
Yeah.
Is it correct that Ronnie right now is the best video gamer on the team as far as when it comes to 2K, or?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that answer, I guess. Yeah, I would say that.
All right, fair enough. All right, last thing for you here, Devin, and we appreciate you stopping in. You guys are halfway through the A10 schedule. Sitting at 4-5 in the A10 could easily be 6-3, 7-2 if a shot here or there goes in your direction. For you, and you can talk broadly about the team as well, what's the focus over the next 9 games going to be like to finish out the regular season and have momentum going into Brooklyn in the A10 tournament?
I mean, we know a few games have slipped away, but the biggest thing is just focusing on our defense. I feel like if we're better on defense, the offense will come. We're a pretty talented team, so if we focus on defense, it can lead us to wins.
Is there one particular aspect on defense? Is it talking more? Is it getting to the glass? Or is it just an all-encompassing mindset that you guys have had to just lock in defensively on what your assignments are and the pick and roll coverage and everything else?
It's a little bit of everything, but mainly talking and transition defense, getting back on defense.
All right. Devin, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. You got to let us know how that video game matchup ends up so you can be like the Don King of the video game world for the Patriots. You can get Ronnie and Justin together, and we'll get this thing settled and figured out before the end of the season.
I got you. Thanks for having me.
Freshman Devin Dinkins here joining us. We'll come back, have Coach Kim English preview the UMass game. We'd like to thank the Capitol Ale House, our official host site for the Mason Basketball Coaches Show. Head coach Kim English. Right around the corner from Eagle Bank Arena, Capitol Ale House with local Virginia-inspired dishes and the largest selection of Virginia-brewed craft beer available with 100 taps there, Virginia's beer authority in Mason Nation. All right, we welcome back in head coach Kim English. Good to talk to your freshman point guard. Is he right that it's just an all-encompassing mindset as far as the defensive side of things go?
Yeah, on the ball is important. Transition defense obviously is important. Transition defense lost us a game at St. Louis. We lose one of the best shooters in the league. Getting back in transition, Gibson Jimerson. So transition defense is obviously important because it just, how you start is how you finish. And then next on the ball, for sure, we got to do a much better job just mano-a-mano, guarding your man.
Before we get to UMass, want to get an update on Ticket Gaines. We've talked about him missing here over the past couple of weeks. As much as you can you let us know how close he is?
Well, 9 games without Ticket, and he's still our second leading rebounder on the team.
Total rebounds, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other type of rebound is it?
Well, I mean, average.
No. Total rebounds. 9 games out, and he's still second on the team. So he's been missed for sure, but we don't spend a lot of time, zero time worrying about that. The guys we have, those are guys we coach, but Ticket's doing great. He's been out of his tape and contraptions the last few days, and when I just run up on him in practice, messing with him, sometimes I forget which hand it is. But his shot looks good. He completed a conditioning drill today perfectly. We get his final checkup on Wednesday, hoping for good news. And maybe Wednesday, but hopefully for sure, if everything looks good and he's cleared, we'd love to have him in Chicago on Saturday.
Yeah, talking to him before the game yesterday, he was in really good spirits for a guy who's missed, as you said, 9 games. But you could also tell he's ready.
I love his mindset.
He was chomping at the bit to get back out there.
No, he's everywhere in practice. Sometimes in games, he's like sitting in my chair on timeouts. I have to like shove him aside. In practice, he's like egging on one team, and then he's to the next team. Then we're talking, teaching. He's on the other end, dribbling, putting himself through a workout. So he's, sometimes it's not good, but to take a step back, you kind of take it for granted sometimes. Playing game to game, it's like you're owed it, but you're not. When the game is taken from you, it's very humbling, and it changes the perspective in your mind. So I'm really excited to have him back, and just his spirit. His spirit is so good for our program. He's such an important player.
It's interesting that you talk about him kind of jumping to one side or the other, talking to guys, you know, those type of things, because a conversation we had yesterday, he had said he's thinking about getting into coaching when his playing career is done.
Wow.
I didn't know if you knew that or not.
No,
So when I hear him say, you know, you say he's sitting in your chair during timeouts, he's already practicing.
No, he's good.
To take your job at some point.
He's incredible. He's incredible. No, that's great to hear. You know, a couple of our guys have talked about that. I want him to go play for a long time before he gets into coaching, because he's a really good player, and his impact on the games. Before he got hurt, there were multiple games this season where he played a bunch of minutes. Like I can't have him on the court enough, and I'd be walking off the court after a game, thinking like, or talking to the team after the game and looking at the group of 15 and thinking, you know, man, Ticket was great tonight, or he was like, man, Ticket did some big time things tonight. And then I'll look at the stat sheet, because it's like the last thing I look at is our players, what they shot from the field.
Right.
He's like 0 for 5.
Right.
Or like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7. And I'm like, we just got done a game, and I think he played great. You know, but the offensive production, what, you know, other people look at, but it's the space he creates, it's the defense, it's the rebound, and it's his emotion, his passion. He takes charges. You know, he keeps balls alive. He dives them. He just plays so hard. Everywhere he's been, Tennessee, George Mason, fans just love him because he gives it his all, and I can't wait to get him back.
You talked about it yesterday that he's one of the guys, again, as a senior leader on this team. You were lamenting the communication on defense after the game yesterday, and you think he's one of those guys that's kind of in the back, kind of directing things at times. So getting him back could help with that situation.
No, he has a great voice. He has a great voice, and you know, since he's been at Mason, he's played 1 through 5. He's played. We put him all over the court. We can put him on any player in our league, big, small, it doesn't matter. You know, he's really important.
Let's jump ahead to UMass. Home game coming up on Wednesday at Eagle Bank Arena. They, like some other teams, and we just talked earlier about Archie Miller being new up at Rhode Island, they have a new head coach in Frank Martin. He's obviously not new to coaching, spent 5 years at Kansas State, 10 years at South Carolina, took them to a Final Four back in 2017. What do you see, much like Archie Miller, Frank Martin's teams, when they're good, are really good defensively, but they're out and running this year. They're number 1 in pace in the A-10.
Yeah, they're playing really fast, and they had a really good non-league. You know, they beat Colorado. They went and won at Harvard. They beat Hofstra, a team we got to see up close. You know, they beat the best team in our league right now. They scored 90 points on St. Louis. I know Frank really well. He was at Kansas State all 4 years. I was at Missouri, coached against him in the SEC, and his teams are always the same. They play really hard. They're a good defensive team, and they offensive rebound like madmen. And it's what he does. And I love Frank. He's the best, and this is a really good group with some really talented players. Matt Cross, Noah Fernandez, don't know if he'll be in or out. We got to prepare like he's in. Hit a huge shot last season against us. You know, close out with your hand down. He bangs a game-winning 3 against us, and here. They were up, you know, he inherited a team with great offensive DNA. UMass was top 25 in the country last year. Sorry, I think I said offensively. If I didn't, I meant offensive DNA. They were a top 25 offensive team last season, but he's putting his mark on this team early on. They play really hard, 24th in the country in offensive rebounding.
RJ Luis, 2-time now A-10 Rookie of the Week. He just got that award. 17 of 18 from the free throw line last game against Duquesne. Career high 31. At 6'7", he's kind of a lanky wing, but he can get to the rim. He does a really nice job for them.
He doesn't miss at the line. He scores all over the court. He's very, very, very talented. You know, very talented, good size, good body, can play all over the court. A bunch of guys. I mean, Wilden Levesque, Frank's son, is on the team. They have a really good roster and depth with guys. It'll be another game. It'll be a ball game against a team that I think they have the same record in the league as us.
You guys are kind of in that whole logjam right in the middle. I think there are 6 teams that are all sitting there right now at 4 and 5 in the A-10. So these games coming up, the next couple of games on the schedule, where you have UMass on Wednesday, go to Loyola of Chicago Saturday, and then Duquesne the following week. It's an opportunity with a few wins to kind of separate yourself from that pack and get back towards maybe the top 4.
Yeah, one game at a time.
Sure.
It's all you can control. That's all I focus on. You know, that's all I want the guys focusing on. One possession at a time. You know, that's, you know, before you can win, you know, a couple of games or think about separation. Right. Before you can win, you know, in order to win, you have to eliminate losing, right? You have to eliminate losing. You know, we did a much better job last game taking care of the ball, only 9 turnovers. You know, and that helps. You know, finishing plays, making free throws. You know, shot selection. You know, mindless fouls. You know, execution. Out of timeouts, whatever. You have to eliminate losing before you can win.
I want to go back, and we talked to Devin a little bit about it this past week, the Coaches versus Cancer, suits and sneakers. You did a little PSA in the middle of the week talking about cancer screening and everything. Talk to us about how that all came about.
Yeah, no, Sean Farnham and the Coaches versus Cancer reached out to me this summer about dealing with cancer, about, you know, joining Coaches versus Cancer advisory board, and I said absolutely, I'll do whatever I can. And they had a day through the American Cancer Society. It was lobbying day in D.C., and they invited some coaches, Fran McCaffrey, James Jones from Yale, and they wanted us to speak to the panel and, you know, then go on the Hill and lobby, you know, our senators and congressmen to help fund and, you know, cancer research. So I didn't feel great about speaking to the audience because cancer hasn't, to this point, really affected me and my life and my loved ones. I lost my grandmother when I was 3, but I barely, you know, remember it. But I got to sit there and listen, and then we did go help and lobby and meet people. But listening to Fran McCaffrey, whose son had to battle cancer, you know, to hear James Jones talk about his mother, and then right after that, one of our players, who I love dearly, Kelly Dinkins, I think is like one of my favorite moms ever, is diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like broken. I'm broken when I hear the news. And then I automatically think about Devin. You know, but what's great about it is I learned that day in D.C. on the Hill that early detection is like big time, like upwards of the 90%. You know, in survival rate. And, you know, I'm on the phone, you know, Dante Dinkins is like consoling me, and I'm thinking about Devin, and I tell him that. And, you know, we think about Kelly, we pray for some of our great supporters, you know, Chris Durlack, Kathy McKay, Brian Dunbar, Paul Kyle, Samit, and if I'm missing someone, I'm sorry, but have donated in Kelly's honor to the American Cancer Society. I donated, and I'm just very, 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 you know, proud of our guys. Devin's been playing in pink shoes, and we're going to win the fight, you know, Kelly, and I think we're going to eventually find a cure for this awful disease.
It was really cool to see the teammates join him over the past weekend with the pink shoes, and that just shows how tight-knit you guys are.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. They all love each other, and they're great kids. All of our guys, they're all great kids. As frustrating as I may be in a moment, as they may be at me or whatever, but they are incredible kids, and I sleep good at night knowing that I don't have to worry about anything here in Fairfax. They're incredible young men.
I asked Devin this question, and I know you've talked about one game at a time, but you are at the midway point of the A-10 season, and we'll leave it on this for tonight. What do you guys need to change or improve upon, or whatever it is, to finish out the 9 games and feel like you've got some pretty good momentum going into Brooklyn?
Yeah, it's going to be some rotational stuff we're going to change, because 9 games in, 20-some-odd games in, we've seen enough of enough. You know, you've seen enough of the same stuff. There's a good body of work out there. You know, some guys that are playing heavy minutes are going to go down. The younger guys, minutes that they've learned a ton this season. Like, you're not going to play as a young guy until you're ready. Until you're constantly proving it every day in practice. I think some of our young guys have proven that, and their minutes are going to start to go up. Malik Henry has seen it, you know. But it's the discipline. It's the bottom line. It's the discipline, and You know, if it's through video, if it's through drills and practice, you know, if it's through habits, it just comes a time if you want to win these games, these possession games, which are fine. You're in them. It's the game. Every game's not a blowout. You got to win close games. It comes down to discipline. You know, you know, we talked about it the other day. This group right here, this 57th team of George Mason basketball, has at least 37 days left together. 37 days left together. And I still have great belief that they can accomplish a heck of a whole lot. And I told them, as a former player, the pain of regret hurts a lot harder than the pain of discipline or hard work. You know, you might be tired, but to sprint your hardest to save a basket, that pain is so much less than the pain we feel in the locker room at the end of Old Dominion, at the end of St. Louis, at the end of, you know, all these games that are this much of a separation. And I have great confidence in the group. Even after a tough loss, and I watched the film, I have great confidence in the group because it's nothing that they can't do. It's just us doing it.
There's always that fine line, especially in college basketball, between winning and losing.
Yeah, it seems fine, but it's huge, right? It may look fine in the outcome of a possession game when you're thinking like, oh, if just you would have made this play or made this free throw. But the best teams get that separation at minute 14.
Right.
At minute 13-6, and then a minute at 11, and then the last play at a half, we give up an offensive rebound. Like, that's that. So, yeah, it ends up being this.
Right.
And then, you know, you got to execute a play perfectly out of what you try to do, which falls down to coaching. Okay, we got to, you know, am I not saying the right things? Are we doing this? I told the guys, that's how I look at the game. I look at the game, what could I have done? What could I have done? What could I have done? It's all on me. They need to look at the game at the same thing. So, yeah, it ends up being that thin line between good and great, but that margin can be a lot bigger if there's discipline throughout.
Well, hopefully we'll start to see that Wednesday against UMass coming up at Eagle Bank Arena.
Let's get a good crowd in there. Student section, get up.
And the students are back, so hopefully that they will.
I can tell my drive on campus to work. It's a
little bit longer than it used to be, right?
In winter times, you're right up to the stop sign when you're gone. When the students are back, it's 11 cars at the stop sign.
Well, Coach, thanks for hanging out with us again. We appreciate it. Also, thanks to the freshman, Devin Dinkins, for coming on the show with us as well. Again, come out on Wednesday night. UMass will be in town. Patriots trying to get back to 500 in conference play. Again, thanks to the Capitol Ale House for supporting us and being the official host site of the Mason Basketball Coaches Show with head coach Kim English. Right around the corner from Eagle Bank Arena, Capitol Ale House, local Virginia-inspired dishes and the largest selection of Virginia-brewed craft beer available. Plenty of taps here. They are Virginia's beer authority in Mason Nation. Also, a reminder, if you do want to come out on Wednesday for the game against UMass, tickets for all remaining George Mason home games are on sale now. Again, next up, UMass on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Lower level tickets for that game start at just $10. Thanks again to head coach Kim English, Devin Dinkins. I'm Bill Rowland. Thanks for joining us here on the Kim English Coaches Show.